Welcome everybody to Tiger Talks Wrestling, our SummerSlam Retrospective Week 2. As I am joined, of course, by the final boss, Eddie. Welcome into the show, my friend.
Hey, welcome. Glad to be here. What a great first rewind of the first SummerSlam all the way to now, man. It was an amazing ride looking back at all the previous SummerSlams.
Yeah, it was. And of course, we did 88 through 1999 this past Thursday night. Tonight, we're going 2000 to 2011. Next week, we'll finish off 2012 through 2023, rather. We use that same theme song because it was one of the best theme songs, the very original theme song for SummerSlam. That's going to kick us off each week. So you guys will hear that one more time next week. But I think we're going to dive right into this action and talk some SummerSlam from the year 2000. Live from Raleigh, North Carolina, 18,128 people tuned in to see the huge triple threat main event. But we got the Right to Censor defeated Too Cool to kick off the show in a 6-man tag match. X-Pac beat Road Dogg. Eddie Guerrero in China defeated Val Venus and Trish Stratus in an intergender tag team match where, correct me if I'm wrong there, it doesn't really specify, but I think China became the Intercontinental Champion winning that match.
Yep, she lost it.
The title was on the line in that match.
She lost it the next night on Raw to Eddie Guerrero, who was in a triple threat match with her.
Yes.
Who was in a triple threat match with her, Kurt Angle, and I think it was Angle. I'm not sure, but I think it was Kurt Angle.
Also, we got Jerry the King Lawler beat Taz. The Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman beat Shane McMahon in a hardcore match for the Hardcore Championship, which we'll talk about that. The Battle of the Chris's, Benoit beat Jericho in 2-1 in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Outstanding match that probably won't get talked about a whole lot. Edge and Christian beat the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys in the first ever team TLC match for the tag team titles. We'll definitely talk some about that. The Cat with Al Snow beat Terry with Perry Saturn in a stink face match. Don't care about that. We're not even going to go over that. The Undertaker wrestled Kane to a no contest. And in the main event, The Rock beat Triple H and Kurt Angle in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. So I think where we got to start talking about from that show, we mentioned it when we had Shane McMahon versus Test, but here was the match that really kind of put Shane McMahon on the map, I feel like, his match with Steve Blackman for the Hardcore Championship.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Steve Blackman lost the Hardcore title to Shane on a SmackDown due to the Mean Street Posse, and then Commissioner Foley, who was the commissioner at the time, made a match that the belt cannot change hands until SummerSlam, and then this is where we got Shane and Blackman and the infamous kendo stick on the scaffolding, which was like, oh shit, Shane McMahon died.
Yep. Right. That's what everybody thought. He's dead. And no way he survived that fall. But he did. And just, like I said, it put Shane on the map. It was pretty much the first of many huge falls, if you will, for Shane McMahon over the years.
Yeah. My favorite Shane moment.
Said Benoit Jericho had a really great 2 out of 3 falls match.
My favorite Shane match, and I know it's good. It didn't happen until the next year, was him and Kurt Angle at the King of the Ring, where Shane got put. Kurt Angle, you got to say, Kurt Angle and Shane put on a show on that night.
Oh, yeah. They did. That they did. We've talked about when we were doing our King of the Ring show. I'm going to skip over that for right now. The main event here, The Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship, or the WWF Championship, I should say, was a really good triple threat match. I personally enjoyed one that The Rock was in a couple years later, more so than this one, but it was still a really good triple threat match to end out the show. Rock walking out, still champion, surprisingly, as Kurt was on a rise at the time, but good showing from all three guys in that triple threat match.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember that match because that's when Triple H tried to pedigree Angle on the Spanish announce table, and Kurt hit his head on the concrete when the table gave away, and he hit his head on the concrete. I still to this day can't figure out how Kurt Angle came back in that match after hitting his head that hard.
Right? It's crazy. But to me, no offense to the rest of the matches on SummerSlam 2000, there's only one match that really stands out and has to be talked about the most here. That, of course, being the very first ever tables, ladders, and chairs.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Hands down, this match.
Yeah, so go ahead.
You want to go first? I'll go first.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hands down. At the Royal Rumble, we had the Dudleys versus the Hardys in a tag team table match, which I was there at Madison Square Garden to see that. And then The Rock went on to win the Royal Rumble and lost at WrestleMania in that fatal 4-way McMahon shit. Then you had at WrestleMania 2000, you had the ladder match with all three of these guys. They put on a fucking fantastic show. But when you put the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys in this type of event, damn, this match stole the show, and still to this day, people still talk about this as one of the greatest, and I still think, and we all know about the Dudleys, this made Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardy Boys to, when eventually Christian and the Hardy Boys retire, this basically cement them into the WWE Hall of Fame. So that's my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would agree. This match really, the ladder match did a lot of good for these three teams, but this match, personally, I feel like cemented their spots as tag teams in the WWE. This kind of put these three teams on the map, if you will. The Dudleys, yes, a lot of people knew them from ECW, was where you knew the Dudley Boys when it came to WWE. This was where they kind of separated themselves from ECW days and kind of made their own name in WWE or WWF at the time. When you talk these three teams, as you said, this match is still talked about to this day, and it will forever be linked. These three teams will be linked together with that first TLC match, and I agree. We talked about it last week. I still say Davey Boy and Brett had the best match in SummerSlam history, but this one's definitely a 1B or a number 2.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Least we could all say, when you mention the Dudley Boys, least we can mention them, they're not the Public Enemy.
Yes, that is true. They wouldn't want to be the Public Enemy, I don't think.
No.
All in all, this SummerSlam I felt like was a really good, solid SummerSlam to lead off the new decade.
Yeah. I mean, there's one in the match we can talk about, but it's that 2 out of 3 falls match. But due to the circumstances,
Yeah.
let's just say I give it up to Chris
We try
Benoit.
not to give him too much.
Yeah, let's give it up to the learning tree, Chris Jericho. Way he wrestled in that match, but the other guy could kiss my ass.
The only thing I'll say about the other guy is a great wrestler, but what he did in his final moments is a disgrace. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about Benoit. So,
yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, because he had great matches. All right. 2001. We move ahead to the year 2001. You got SummerSlam from San Jose Compact Center, 15,293 in attendance. As this was right now, a little while after WCW went out of business, and was when they integrated WCW into the WWF. And we got, I guess it was still WWF at the time. I was just making sure. We got WCW involvement here. We'd have our first WCW championship match we'll get into. Sunday Night Heat match would see Lynn, Lita, and Molly as Team WWF defeat Ivory, Stacy, and Tori representing the Alliance. This was all WWF versus the Alliance for the most part, not all of it, sorry. At this SummerSlam, we'd kick off with Edge defeating Lance Storm to become the Intercontinental Champion. The Dudley Boys and Test, representing the Alliance, defeated the APA and Spike Dudley with Molly Holly in a 6-man tag. X-Pac beat Tajiri to retain the Cruiserweight title and, as a Cruiserweight champion, heavyweight champion Tajiri to merge those two titles. See, confusion even now, and this was years ago. Chris Jericho would beat the Alliance's Rhino with Stephanie McMahon Helmsley and his by submission. Mr. Monday Night, or Mr. Pay-Per-View, if you will, Rob Van Dam would defeat Jeff Hardy to become the Hardcore Champion in a stellar ladder match. The Brothers of Destruction with Sarah would defeat Diamond Dallas Page and Chris Kanyon in a steel cage match to unify the WCW and WWF tag team titles. Kane and Taker were the WCW tag team champions going in, and DDP and Kanyon were the WWF tag team champions going in. Oddly. Kurt Angle would defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin by disqualification in a WWF championship match. And in the main event, The Rock would beat Booker T with Shane McMahon to become the new WCW champion. Where should we begin with this clusterfuck of a SummerSlam?
You just said it, but I don't fucking know.
Terrible matches.
Well, I'm going to say this because he's no longer with us. I would go, who better than Kanyon? He got his ass whipped in that match.
It was a decent steel cage, man.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. But so the problem was, to me, during this whole Alliance invasion storyline, was that the Alliance never stood a chance and they got beat more often than not by WWF. You knew what was going to happen for the most part. I mean, yes, they had some nights that the Alliance got the better hand, but just at events like this, though, you pretty much knew what was going to happen. There's only a match to me that really stands out on this card. Rock and Booker had a decent match. Don't get me wrong there. Austin and Angle did this out the most to me in this card. Because anybody who hadn't really watched much of ECW, you didn't really know a whole lot about Rob Van Dam. But if you watch this match, how could you not become a fan of RVD?
I agree with you. What better partner on your first WWE pay-per-view? You put him with Jeff Hardy. Two of the most sane people on the ladder.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
it was definitely a recipe for success, and that's all it was when those two got in the ring together. I felt like.
Be honest, there's something on that card on the pre-show. I totally forgot that Ivory was part of the alliance. Wait a minute, when the hell did she become the alliance member?
So did I want to say I think she. Well, I don't know if she was in WCW or she was in ECW. She must have been in one of the companies at one point to be part of the alliance.
I think she was still in. I think she was still doing Tough Enough.
It's crazy. Would have made sense if Lita. Probably would have made sense if Lita would have been Team Alliance because she was Miss Congeniality in WCW or ECW. I mean, but.
And what about Molly Holly? She was.
Oh.
Molly Holly was in WCW as Miss Madness.
Yeah, she was at one point in time. I don't know.
Mona, I think that was her.
Like I said, that whole invasion angle just was something like that. That whole invasion angle just was a complete shit show as it was. So
we can make that and hold together different segments.
A whole different show, probably.
Yeah, because to me, I thought when the alliance came out, I'm like, when WWE bought WCW, I was like, yeah, we're gonna have Sting, Goldberg, Hall, Nash. No, we get the natural born, the natural born thrillers.
Yeah. Natural born thrillers. You get Canyon and DDP. You get Booker. You get. I mean, we briefly had Brian Adams and Brian Clark, Chronic, but that didn't last very long. And they murdered them pretty much on sight. Had the Brothers of Destruction destroy them quickly.
This
was terrible.
Sometimes it was like, and plus you had a lot of other injuries on the WWE side. Triple H was still nursing that knee injury that's devastating tear. I mean, man, if they would have had the mega stars, I think the Alliance Invasion would have been better.
Yes, I agree. Instead of those guys having to sit at home and wait out their contracts with Turner.
Yeah.
He was on the poster 3 years in a row. Go figure. All right. I think that's enough talk about 2001's SummerSlam then. Let's move on to 2002, shall we? Or 2003. Wow. We don't want to go back to 2002. We were just talking. Oh, no. Yeah, we do. Never mind. All right. No. 2002. I'm getting myself confused because the posters look pretty identical. Yeah. 2002, we got SummerSlam from Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum there in Union. Quite the changing of the guard would happen here at SummerSlam. We go with the Heat match. Spike Dudley beat Steven Richards. Kurt Angle would defeat Rey Mysterio, making Rey tap out to the ankle lock. Nature Boy Ric Flair would defeat Chris Jericho by submission with the figure 4. Edge defeated Eddie Guerrero. The Un-Americans, Christian and Lance Storm, would beat Booker T and Goldust to retain the WWE Tag Team titles. Rob Van Dam would defeat Chris Benoit to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Undertaker beat Test. Shawn Michaels beat Triple H in an unsanctioned street fight. And, of course, in the main event, this young beast, Brock Lesnar, became the WWE Champion for the very first time when he beat The Rock. So, 2002 SummerSlam. two matches really stand out the most to me on this card. There's a few others that were pretty deep on there, but you got to talk the return of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. After 4 years out, never thought he'd wrestle again, and here he is in an unsanctioned match with his best friend Triple H. And man, did those two have one hell of an unsanctioned fight.
Absolutely, I remember because I was at this event with Trina, and I was like, it was like, because we had tickets for this, we had tickets for Monday Night Raw, and then we had tickets for SmackDown on Tuesday. So at the Garden, so it was something I wanted to do. So the crowd was hot for Shawn Michaels. I mean, the man came back from a broken back and went back and became the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. He showed people he could still do it after a 4-year layoff. And then we have a lengthy career until he got defeated by The Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. I mean, HB Shizzle was sizzling at SummerSlam.
Great way to put it. I like the S's you threw out there. Yeah, I'd say, to me, I feel like Shawn and Triple H probably was the match of the night. Probably could have even went on last, but I understand why they didn't with what happened, where we go from here in WWE. But yeah, you can't just talk about the match, though, because more happened between those two after the match, of course, as well. Because Triple H wouldn't be satisfied with losing the match, and he would take it out and go after Shawn Michaels' back again, attacking HBK after the match.
Yeah, and there was a lot. Yeah,
again,
you should have heard the crowd. You should have heard the crowd. They wanted to kill Triple H. I mean, holy shit.
I believe it. I believe it. Shawn was a comeback kid and then gets the win, and Triple H couldn't leave well enough alone. And luckily for us, Shawn would come back, of course, 2 months.
Here's the thing about that.
2 months later.
You're not going to believe this. So when they were throwing stuff, apparently some woman threw a shitty diaper at Triple H.
Oh, yeah? Nasty.
I know.
That's crazy. All right. That was that. That match, the unsanctioned match, of course, was the longest match on the card. So the other match we got to talk about, the changing of the guard, of course, when you talk about SummerSlam 2002. Rock and Brock. The Battle of the Rocks. Oh. At this point in time, The Rock was just pretty much kind of starting out his movie career. We only seen him periodically for the most part. Now at this point in time, he had come back after they had changed over from WWF to WWE, and Stone Cold had taken his ball and ran home pretty much. Because this was right after he wasn't okay with dropping to Brock Lesnar in the King of the Ring tournament. He didn't feel like he should be losing to Brock, and so Austin went home. Brock came back. He got the push and got the world title run here in 2002 from it. And The Rock was willing to put over Brock Lesnar as The Rock was going off to do Scorpion King, I believe, at the time. And Brock would pick up a huge win. Brock looked like a beast in this match against The Rock. And it was what we needed going forward, really, at that point.
I mean, look at what we got out of the Brock versus The Rock. Right after this, when he came back filming the Scorpion King. We got the first installment of Hollywood Rock.
Right. Because of things that had happened earlier in 2002 as well.
Yep. And then he went away for a while. And then he comes back and beats The Rock again this year. And then he becomes Hollywood Rock again, but a twist to the final boss, The Rock.
Right. Yes, indeed. I'll have to wait and see what all more he's got with that character eventually. But
yep.
And of course, Brock Lesnar would go on to become one of the most dominating superstars in WWE history, and maybe in some aspects one of the most hated superstars in WWE history because of the fact that he has won many titles and would disappear for lengthy periods of time with that title.
And now he's not even an afterthought.
Yeah, he might be back at some point in time, but who knows? We'll see. But this started off a really great run for Brock on SmackDown as the WWE champion at that time. Undisputed champion, sorry.
Yep, and then he lost it at the Survivor Series at the Garden to the Slow Show.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to returning
Paul Heyman.
Yep.
My God.
Crazy.
2002, we went from the...
Any other match?
We went from the Dudley Boys to Reverend Devon around this time. Holy crap.
Yeah, we did. Yep. Yep. From the draft. Yes. Luckily, that gimmick didn't last very long.
Thank God. Oh, but we did get out of Reverend Devon. We did get out of Reverend Devon. We did get his disciple, Batista.
Deacon Batista.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, enough about this. I'm going to get bored out of this. This is the shittiest pay-per-view out of just for 2 matches. This was shitty.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I felt like 2001 was worse.
It was Vince McMahon, ruthless aggression.
We'll move on to 2003 SummerSlam. Yes, that was pretty much the beginning of the ruthless aggression era, which we'll really dive into.
Okay, I love it.
I forgot that was a 2003 post. Right? SummerSlam 2003, Phoenix, Arizona's America West Arena. And 16,113 people sitting in the crowd to watch as we would get Rey Mysterio beating Shannon Moore in the pre-show during Heat to retain the Cruiserweight title. La Resistance, Rene Dupré and Sylvain Grenier, Rob Conway, beat the Dudley Boys with Spike in their corner to retain the World Tag Team titles. The Undertaker beat A-Train with Sable in his corner. Shane McMahon defeated Eric Bischoff in a Falls Count Anywhere match. My God, we're not going to talk about that. Eddie Guerrero beat Chris Benoit, Rhino, and Tajiri in a Fatal 4-Way to retain the U.S. title. Kurt Angle beat Brock Lesnar by submission to retain the WWE Championship. Kane beat Rob Van Dam in a no-holds-barred match. And Triple H won an Elimination Chamber match to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this one wasn't that great of a SummerSlam really either, but the Fatal 4-Way match was pretty decent. Kurt and Brock had a great match. Probably was the best match on this card. Because honestly, and you might disagree with this, but to me, this Elimination Chamber match that ended this show was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, booked Elimination Chamber matches in WWE history.
Thank you. Somebody actually agrees
In my
with
opinion.
me.
I mean, if I remember correctly, Goldberg got 3 or 4 eliminations right towards the end, and then you get Evolution getting involved in the match that the Chamber is supposed to keep everybody out, but yet Evolution gets into the Chamber and they beat up Goldberg, leading to Triple H getting the win and retaining the title. Stupid.
I just can't figure out how Kevin Nash got into this match.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Nash, Orton, Michaels, Jericho, Goldberg, and Triple H, you would have thought would have been, when you have those 6 names, you would think they would have a good match, a really good match, but it was terrible. Really, it was terrible. Not something I'll go back and watch anytime.
And how the fuck does Eric Bischoff and Shane McMahon go 10 minutes?
Yeah, really. 10 and a half, 10:36. It's crazy.
All right, I'm going to tell you.
Like I said, Kurt and Brock always seem to have really good.
The only thing I like about this SummerSlam was the poster.
Go ahead. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, when Sable looks like that, who wouldn't? What guy wouldn't like it?
Yeah, I know. I'm moving on to 04.
Neither here nor there. Oh. Let's move on to 04, shall we?
God, what a shitty pay-per-view that was.
Like I said, Angle and Brock was pretty much the only match that was worth watching. We go to 2004. Toronto, Ontario, Canada hosts SummerSlam, I believe, for the first time. Canada Center, 17,640 in the crowd. Yeah, you're going to have to wait.
Yeah, it was.
RVD beat Rene Dupree on the pre-show match. The Dudley Boys, all 3 of them. Yeah. Sorry. The Dudley Boys, all 3 members, 3 Dudleys, beat Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, and Paul London in a 6-man tag match. Oh my gosh. Kane beat Matt Hardy in a Till Death Do Us Part match. I remember that storyline. My gosh. Don't need to talk about it, but John Cena made his SummerSlam debut as he defeated Booker T in the first match in the Best of 5 series for the U.S. title. Edge would defeat Batista and Chris Jericho in a triple threat match to retain the Intercontinental title. Kurt Angle with Luther Reigns would defeat Eddie Guerrero by submission. Triple H defeated Eugene. I don't know why that match went 14 minutes, but it did. JBL beat The Undertaker by disqualification in a WWE title match with Orlando Jordan in his corner. And of course, this is the SummerSlam where we got the youngest World Heavyweight Champion of all time crown, as Randy Orton won the world title to close out SummerSlam 2004. Pretty much the beginning of the Vipers' rise, if you will. I remember the whole storyline between Kane and Matt Hardy and Lita. It's not anything I personally think we need to go back over and talk about too much, but I remember it. And Edge would later get involved in the storyline with Matt and Lita. It kind of just screwed over that whole storyline, but still, we're going to move on past that part. John Cena and Booker T, though. This was match 1 of their Best of 5 series. I felt like they had a really, really great Best of 5 series for the U.S. title. It kind of reminded me of the Benoit Booker Best of 5 series they did in WCW back in the day. But I felt like John Cena looked really good in this Best of 5 series and even in this first match between these two. And he was still newer to the main roster.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You know what's even better about this SummerSlam? We go to SummerSlam 05.
What's that? Yeah, like I said, Randy Orton winning was a huge part of the final part of that. Of course, I
felt like Triple H oversold for Eugene and should have took care of him.
Yeah.
It was a shitty pay-per-view.
For the most part, I agree. All right, we'll move on. 2005. A couple decent matches in 04, but who can forget that match? Washington, D.C., the MCI Center, 18,176. And we will talk about that match quite heavily, probably, I'm sure. Let's go through the card first. Masters. Chris Masters beat the Hurricane with Rosie and Super Stacy by a submission on the pre-show. Chris Benoit beat Orlando Jordan in a squash match to win the U.S. title. Edge with Lita beat Matt Hardy by TKO. Rey Mysterio beat Eddie Guerrero in the ladder match for custody of Dominic. We got to talk about that one a little. Kurt Angle beat Eugene with Christy Hemme. Kurt Angle beat Eugene with Christy Hemme by submission in a match for Kurt's Olympic gold medal. Randy Orton beat The Undertaker. John Cena beat Chris Jericho to retain the WWE title. Batista beat JBL in a no-holds-barred match to retain the world title. In the main event, Hulk Hogan beat Shawn Michaels, which we're going to talk about in link 2. But let's go over Edge and Matt. Like we said, we know the whole history between those two with Lita involved. This was a short match. There was a TKO there to Matt. He actually, I think, got really knocked out during that match, and it had to end sooner than planned. But Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, those two guys always had amazing matches, but this storyline, even to this day, is something that nobody will ever forget, especially with Dom on TV now in wrestling. I remember seeing the highlights of this match, because I know I didn't watch it live, but seeing Rey versus Eddie and Vicky Guerrero coming out there, and even hearing the stories afterwards, that Vicky was supposed to come out even sooner than what she did, but she come out there to stop Eddie from climbing the ladder to pull down the briefcase. Dominic getting involved in the match as well, and I think Angie at some point did. But it just, having both families kind of involved in this match and rivalry was something very unfamiliar. I mean, we'd seen Rey's family on screen before this whole situation, but this was definitely a different level for that. And we got to see a whole different side of Eddie Guerrero, too, in this rivalry.
Oh, definitely. I mean, matches with Eddie and Rey, man, even going back to WCW, they put on a clinic. When they were together, I felt like if they would have never broke up Eddie, I feel like Eddie Guerrero, I mean, rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. Damn, I mean,
yes.
I feel like them two had a match in that. No, that was a brotherhood. I know they were friends, but that's familiar. I mean, that is. I don't care who it is. The Guerreros and Mysterios, fucking hand down the best. I know Eddie Guerrero was pissed because
I agree.
You could hear in the audio, Jesus Christ, Vicky, where the hell are you?
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. He was definitely mad with Vicky, but it still was a great ladder match, a great storyline altogether. Ray winning and keeps custody of his son Dominic. So all ended well for the Mysterio family in the long run.
Oh no, I hope not.
But yeah, like you said, it was always great to see. But
I'm praying. What is this? 2005. So what is that? 24 years ago.
it was it'll be 20 years next year.
20 years. Well,
19. Yeah.
Oh God, hope not. For the women's title,
Ray
women's
versus
world
Dom
title, Rena versus Liv for the custody of Dominic and the woman and the world women's championship.
Women's world title match. I hope
women's
not too,
world
but who knows?
title
We'll see.
In a custody of Dominic Mysterio.
I hope not. You never know, though.
Oh my God. I think Damian Priest will laugh on the floor if Domino's is suspended on the. They make it into a ladder match, and the only way you could retrieve the title is by Dominic handing you in a shark cage.
That would be interesting, but I hope
not.
Anyway, yeah, same. So back to SummerSlam 2005 for a moment. Randy and Undertaker had a great match here. I believe this is where Cowboy Bob Orton made his return to the company and helped Randy win. Cena and Jericho had a really good match. Batista and JBL had a bloody no-holds-barred match, if I remember correctly, and Batista just kicked ass for the most part. I loved Batista as World Heavyweight Champion. I am and was a huge John Cena fan, but Batista, that run he had as World Heavyweight Champion, his first reign, was amazing. Not to take anything away from Cena, because we know Cena had his WWE title reign for over a year, but I felt like they both were great champions in their first runs. If you want to add anything to either one of those two matches, go ahead, but then we're going to definitely talk about that main event.
I got to say, yeah, like you said, Batista, man, was it the Undertaker or Batista that threw JBL through the top of the limousine?
I think that was Undertaker.
It was? All right. Though. But yeah, it was I'm going to use JR's method. It was a Slamanaka.
Yes, it was. All right. So that's all. Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. The build up to it was very interesting. Yeah, go ahead and talk about it, Eddie. I'll let you take it first.
Let me say this. One of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. The Heartbreak Kid, Mr. Main Event, going up against the immortal sleazebag, Hulk Hogan. I remember this, that Hogan and Shawn was in a match. I think it was against what the hell that guy from Arab, Hamad Hassan, and Davari, and then Shawn Michaels did whatever. Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah.
And then I think Shawn Michaels super kicked Hogan, and then he did that skit that he was on CNN as Hulk Hogan. What you gonna do, brother? Oh! It was It was Shawn Michaels being Shawn Michaels, and then the bump Shawn Michaels took for Hulk Hogan in that match were hilarious. But you know the immortal shitbag. The immortal shitbag had to win the match like he always does because he has to be undefeated, brother.
Right.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I think you said it very well. Sean bumped more than he needed to, but that was his whole purpose pretty much in this match. Just to I feel like, and maybe Sean may have even said it since then. Sean just felt like pretty much everybody else that was watching, Sean should have been the one to get the win there. Hogan didn't need it, and since Sean didn't agree with the way things got booked, he was going to do whatever he wanted to do for the most part in this one, and that was deciding to oversell everything that Hogan threw at him.
I mean, Hogan was making money on Hogan knows
pretty much what happened. Right. Hogan didn't need a win at that point in time. Sean could have used it more. That was a pretty good SummerSlam anyways. Don't like how it ended the match-wise, but like we said, Sean kind of just did his own thing, and that's what everybody's going to remember, I feel like, from that main event match from SummerSlam 05. Then we'll move on to 2006 SummerSlam. We're getting about halfway through here. DX leading the way. Boston, Massachusetts. God, 16,168 in attendance. Because ECW is a thing now. Carlito beat Rob Conway on the pre-show. Chavo Guerrero would defeat Rey Mysterio in the opening contest. Big Show beat Sabu in a singles match to retain the ECW World Championship. In the second year in a row, Hulk Hogan would defeat somebody he shouldn't have, as he beat the Legend Killer Randy Orton. The Nature Boy Ric Flair beat Mick Foley in an I Quit match. Batista beat King Booker by disqualification in a world title match. DX beat the McMahons in a tag match, and Edge defeated John Cena to retain the WWE Championship in the main event, where if Edge had been disqualified, he would have lost the title.
Well, you got
so that was the card.
Wrong. You got one thing wrong. You said King Booker. It's King Booker. Booker.
Yes, I did. You're correct. Yeah, that SummerSlam happened. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. Hello, 2007.
Yes, indeed. Once things decide to go to 2007, party is over. SummerSlam in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 2007. There it goes. As we've got kicking things off on the pre-show. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch beat Paul London and Brian Kendrick. The main show, we'd start off with Kane defeating Finlay. Umaga defeated Carlito and Mr. Kennedy in a triple threat match to retain the IC title. Rey Mysterio would defeat Chavo Guerrero in a rematch from the year prior. Or Chavo beat Rey. Beth Phoenix would win a battle royal, last eliminating Michelle McCool to become the number one contender for the women's title. John Morrison would defeat CM Punk to retain the ECW championship. Triple H would beat King Booker with Queen Charmel. Batista would defeat the Great Khali by disqualification in a world title match. Khali was champion. And John Cena would beat Randy Orton to retain the WWE championship.
What a shitty card.
This isn't quite, is it? I was going to say this one wasn't much better than the year before. We got John Morrison, of course, after the whole Chris Benoit fiasco is what led to Morrison being the ECW World Champion. I felt like this was the best we had seen from John Hennigan, a.k.a. Johnny Nitro, a.k.a. John Morrison, whatever the hell you want to call him, Johnny TV, in WWE.
Oh my God.
And I felt like his run as ECW was probably his best run. Booker had an okay match, which was the last match, I believe, in Booker's run then is in WWE. Batista and Khali's match, we're not going to discuss. The only match to me worth anything at SummerSlam was the main event between Cena and Orton. Because John Cena and Randy Orton have had great matches. Yeah, it was. No other match. Well, only one other match went over 10 minutes. That was Rey and Chavo. But Orton and Cena, it doesn't surprise me they'd get the most time. It's Cena, for one. But to me, Cena and Orton never really had a bad match against each other. And this was pretty much the start of their rivalry that they've had. And I just hope, knowing now that Cena's coming up on his last run, that we'll get to see Cena and Orton one more time.
Oh my God, there's a lot of matches that I want to see Cena have again. You know, Cena and Orton, definitely. I would love to see Cena and the guy that lost to John Morrison, CM Punk. That would be a good match.
CM Punk. Yes.
Match I would definitely want to see is, God, who did Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that would be great. I know we can't and we won't, but I really wish we could have seen Cena and Edge one more time.
Who knows?
I highly doubt he's going to leave AEW or anything, but I guess you never know. Stranger things have happened.
His AEW run sucks.
Oh, but wait, Tony Khan just said in an interview yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that Adam Copeland is enjoying his best run in his entire career.
Well, Tony Khan is smoking too much of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I know, right? Smoking too much of something anyway.
Oh my God. He even
couldn't even say that with a straight face because it was inherent that he said it.
He even said that about Mercedes for Sasha Banks. She's having the greatest run. She only had 3 matches.
Right? They haven't been that huge of names that she's faced either yet. We won't go into that too much, though. Let's get back to this.
No. We'll get back to it, but
go ahead.
Who else is in AEW that we haven't seen in a long time? Oh, Keith Lee, not doing anything. Miro, not doing anything. Adam Cole, baby, not doing anything, and he's better. That motherfucker needs to realize, I mean, it is... All right, let's move on, because I'm getting aggravated.
We shall. SummerSlam 2008.
Oh.
Maria Kanellis. Not bad.
I want that. I want that. I want to be that water ski.
Right. Indianapolis, Indiana's Conseco Fieldhouse had almost 16,000 people watching as we got to see on the pre-show, the dark match, Big Show beat Bam Neely with Chavo Guerrero. Main show would start with MVP defeating Jeff Hardy. Glamorella.
Bam Neely.
Santana
Holy
Marella
shit!
and Beth Phoenix would beat Kofi Kingston and Mickey.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Remember that guy? Yeah, I know, right?
My god!
Right. As I was saying, Glamorella would beat Kofi Kingston and Mickey James in a mixed tag team match to win the Intercontinental and Women's Championships. Something that didn't hardly ever happen. Matt Hardy beat Mark Henry by the ECW champion Mark Henry by disqualification. Tony Atlas in his corner at that time. CM Punk beat JBL to retain the world title. Triple H beat Great Khali to retain the WWE title. Batista beat John Cena. We'll definitely talk about that one. And talk about the main event. The Undertaker beating Edge in Hell in a Cell. Yeah, let's just talk about those last two matches, shall we? Unless you want to talk about any of those other matches.
I just want to say this. Who the hell saw anything in Great Khali?
Nobody should have been in there with Great Khali, unfortunately. Sorry to say, but
let's say this: he ain't no Andre the Giant.
that's for sure. Like I said, and talk about the two last matches. So this was the first time on the main roster, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that we got to see Batista versus John Cena, and they had a really good match. However, at the end of it, we'd get a botched Batista bomb as Cena went for the leg drop off the top rope. Cena would get injured. They'd finish the match. Batista would win. Cena would be out of action until the Royal Rumble. Like I said, though, it was a really good match up until that botch. I mean, you could tell things kind of took a turn at the end of the match after that, though. I mean, that pretty much ended right after that, but still.
I mean, yeah, I think the last time that, like you said, was at Ohio Valley Wrestling. That then too, the Prodigy versus God, what was his name? Batista. What the hell was his name in OVW?
Leviathan.
Yeah, great name, Dave.
Right.
But give it up to John Cena. Guy wasn't a neck
It was
injury
still
that he
nasty.
heard.
Right. Yeah, it was. I do believe so.
I mean, give it up to Cena. Injured at SummerSlam.
I think he was originally supposed to. Yeah.
Wins the Royal Rumble in 2009. That's impossible.
You would have thought so, because it was supposed to keep him out of action for at least a year, and he comes back in 4 months. 5 months, sorry. But still.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the other match I got to talk about Hell in a Cell. Wasn't for a title, but man, was this very much personal between Edge and The Undertaker. We would see those two guys over that earlier in 2008, towards the end of 2007, really, I think it started, trade the world title back and forth. I mean, Edge would cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on a fallen Undertaker to win the World Heavyweight Championship after Edge had stolen the briefcase from Mr. Kennedy pretty much the night before. Taker would eventually win back the title. Edge would take the title again. Injuries happened throughout the storyline. Batista got involved as well in there. All that fun stuff. But it all led to Vicky Guerrero was the general manager. Undertaker got fired at one point in time. Undertaker got brought back, got this Hell in a Cell match given to him against Edge. And a great Hell in a Cell match these two men put on. Of course, you can't forget what happened after the bell rang, after the match was over. Undertaker pulls Edge up the ladders and choke slams him straight to hell, right through the ring. And then you see the big flames coming through the ring. You had to think Edge was dead, pretty much.
I mean, shit. That Hell in a Cell match, any Hell in a Cell match that The Undertaker was in, he made somebody famous.
That's true. I don't know that you could really. Honestly, when you talk Undertaker and Hell in a Cell, I don't think you could pick a bad match that he had inside Hell in a Cell, really. Because,
No.
as you said, he made everybody famous. He had a great Hell in a Cell match with Brock Lesnar. Even his match, Hell in a Cell match with Shane, was pretty good at WrestleMania. Of course, so Shawn and Edge.
The one I remember, the Hell in a Cell match, they had 6 men in the ring, and he threw Rikishi off of it into a pile of hay.
Yes. I remember that 6-pack challenge Hell in a Cell match. Kurt Angle retained the WWE Championship in that match.
He did, and I want to thank the person who had heavy tires to support Rikishi's weight.
Sports and Wrestling Connection. What up, guys? Hey, welcome into our show. Yeah, I bet, because that was an incredible Hell in a Cell match. Getting off topic a little bit there, but hey, we might have to do a show just on Hell in a Cell matches at some point in time, for that matter. Yeah. But yeah, I would say those 2 matches were definitely the best part of SummerSlam 2008.
Most definitely. I definitely agree with you. It was something different.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to 2009 here in a second. Here. All right. 2009 SummerSlam from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Interesting card. Beth Phoenix won a 15 Diva Battle Royal with Chavo Guerrero as a special guest referee on the pre-show, last eliminating Kelly Kelly and Eve Torres at the same time, by the way. Main show kicks off. Rey Mysterio defeats Dolph Ziggler to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I remember that match opening that SummerSlam, and I believe Dolph Ziggler was still kind of newer as Dolph Ziggler at the time, but they had one hell of an opening contest for SummerSlam.
Oh, definitely. And he had an Australian accent.
Did he have an Australian accent at that point?
Yeah.
I think he kind of did have a little bit of an accent, didn't he? But that match kind of put DZ on the map, really, as a formidable superstar. We also had MVP defeated Jack Swagger on the show. Chris Jericho and the Big Show defeated Crime Time to retain the unified WWE Tag Team Championships. Rest in peace to Shad. I definitely miss seeing Crime Time. They were a very entertaining tag team. Wish we could get that team again, especially when you see a couple of tag teams that remind me of Crime Time really in NXT nowadays.
What are you talking about? We got Crime Time 2.0.
What?
In NXT.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Not the same.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. You got Crime Time 2.0. You got the new Public Enemy. You got Ahmed Johnson on there, and then you got and then you got
Yeah.
an evil, and then you got an evil Doink the Clown and a woman.
Oh, well, I guess you could call it that. All right. Back to this card though. Kane would beat the Great Khali. DX would beat Legacies, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. Christian defeated William Regal with Ezekiel Jackson and Vladimir Kozlov to retain the ECW championship. Randy Orton beat John Cena to retain the WWE title. Had Orton got himself counted out or disqualified for the second time, he would have lost the title. In the main event, CM Punk beat Jeff Hardy in a TLC match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So we talked about Crime Time. We talked about the opening match. Randy Orton and John Cena had another really good match, as we talked about from the year before. This time, Randy, of course, the champion, reigning supreme. 2 years before, I mean. CM Punk and Jeff Hardy in the main event, though. They had a really good ladder match, but I feel like the story was more so what happened after the match instead of what happened during the match, as we got two big things that happened after the match, really. Of course, going forward-wise, the big thing for WWE was that Punk wins the match. Jeff leaves. Jeff was down. The lights go out. Jeff was there underneath Punk. The lights come back on, and the Undertaker is the one there underneath Punk. And Undertaker would proceed to chokeslam CM Punk, as Undertaker would program with CM Punk after SummerSlam for the world title. The other story coming out of that match, of course, at that point in time, was that Jeff Hardy was leaving WWE. We would see him go on. He had a very interesting career span in TNA off of that. Let's put it that way. So, but it was a good ladder match between those two. I think if Jeff would have been in better shape at that point in time, I don't necessarily mean body wise, but we all know he had his issues with drugs and stuff at that time. Had he been in the right mindset, I guess is the best way to put it, then I think they probably would have had a better match here. I just felt like really the Jeff Hardy and CM Punk rivalry could have been better than what it was, honestly. But yeah, it was a decent match and good way to segue into the next rivalry for Punk in the world title.
Oh yeah,
that's my thought of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We all know the history of Jeff Hardy. After this SummerSlam, went into a tailspin in TNA, and at the time when he went there was an immortal douchebag there. So that's another story. But yeah, I did like the swerve to put the Undertaker in, and then we know what happened in that, and then we had them classic Taker scaring the living shit out of Teddy Long. I mean, it was
yes,
some instant.
Where to, Teddy?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. Anything else you want to mention about 2009 before I move on to 10?
No, that's pretty much it. Man, we have a lot of, we could, bounce off of, Jeff Hardy and TNA. How was it? A very dismal and drunken confusion.
Right. I'd agree with that. Like I said, we got so many stories you can tell. All right, let's move on. SummerSlam 2010. Hey, presented by Slim Jim and 7-Eleven. Back in the Staples Center again in Los Angeles. Nexus. Evan Bourne beat Zack Ryder, woo woo woo, in the pre-show match. Dolph Ziggler would beat Dolph Ziggler would compete with Kofi Kingston in a match that would end in a no contest for the Intercontinental Championship. Why did that end in a no contest? The Nexus attacked both competitors. Nexus made the SummerSlam debut. Melina beat Alicia Fox to win the Divas Championship. Big Show defeated the Straight Edge Society in a 3-on-1 handicap match. Wow. Punk, Joey Mercury, and Luke Gallows with Serena in their corner. Randy Orton would defeat the WWE Champion Sheamus by disqualification in a last chance match. If anyone interfered in the match, they would be suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, let's talk about the Nexus. The Nexus came in to that event. That was the debut of the Nexus. And if anybody knows the Nexus, it started with Wayne Barrett. It started with Ryback. I think Husky Harris was a part of that too. That was Skip Sheffield. And they were going up against Team WWE, which was John Cena, Edge, Bret Hart was even a part of that. Chris Jericho. And the last one was no least than Bryan Danielson, coming back from being fired for choking out the
Well then, sorry about that, guys. My computer decided just to boot me right out of there.
Like I was saying that the Nexus lost to Cena and his crew, and that was a return of Bryan Danielson after he choked out the Yapper Dapper Justin Robinson with his own tie.
Yeah. Kane beat Rey Mysterio to retain the world title before that, but yeah, we had, you mentioned it, Wade Barrett, David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Darren Young, Skip Sheffield, Ryback, and Michael Tarver, actually. Husky Harris wasn't part of this version of the Nexus. He was new Nexus.
Yeah, like I was going to say.
Would get beat by Team WWE.
I always felt like the Nexus should have got a better run. It's almost like they fucked it up like the Alliance.
Yeah, I agree. I also felt that way. Wade Barrett and company should have gotten a much better. They looked dominant when they first debuted on Raw. I mean, they attacked John Cena and CM Punk in the Straight Edge Society, and then it just fizzled out from there for the most part. And like you said, it just was bad booking, just like the Alliance booking was.
Yeah, most definitely.
The Nexus deserved better.
I mean, God, look at the roster for WWE. John Cena's retiring. John Morrison's in AEW. I mean, R-Truth's still doing R-Truth stuff.
Yeah.
Brett's retired. Edge and Jericho in AEW, and so does Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Wade Barrett is
in AEW now, a little over.
Wade Barrett is commentating. Where the hell is David Otunga?
I have no idea where he disappeared to. He used to do commentary.
Justin Gabriel, I think he's in Japan.
Justin Gabriel still wrestles, but not. I think so too.
Heath Slater, he's still trying to find all his kids.
Heath Slater, he still wrestles too, just on the indies, I think, right now.
Darren Young.
Darren Young's still wrestling. I know that.
Well, we know who Skip Sheffield is. He's still trying to feed himself more.
Yeah. And Michael Tarver just fell off the face of the earth. So that's what it seems like.
Why does it sound like when you mentioned Michael Tarver, it feels like an old episode of The Simpsons when Wade Boggs get lost. When Wade Boggs get lost in that other dimension.
Who knows? But honestly, that was an elimination tag team match, which ended up winning last eliminating. I think Gabriel and Barrett were the last two I think he eliminated. But this SummerSlam, for the most part, honestly, was another forgettable SummerSlam. Nothing really stuck out other than that main event match, kind of. That should have went the other way.
I don't know what to say because I agree with you, but I felt like the Nexus should have got the win, and yeah, what we had afterwards was okay, but it wasn't special. It was like we're just throwing this shit together and see if it. We're just throwing shit on the wall and see if it together. We're just throwing.
Right, pretty much. All right, well, that brings us to our last SummerSlam to discuss tonight. SummerSlam 2011. Before we get into this too much, I mean, this tells you the fact that we're an hour and 18 minutes in, and we've already discussed 11 out of the 12 SummerSlams that we're going to tonight, kind of tells you how kind of crappy SummerSlam from 2000 to 2011 really was for the most part. I mean, you had some matches here and there that were really good, but for the most part, these shows just were not that great, and it was a hard time at points during this time period to be a wrestling fan. But we'll get into better ones as we go to next week's. I'll mention that, and like I said, there was some matches that were worth watching from these shows. The Staples Center yet again gets SummerSlam in Los Angeles for 2011, the biggest party of the summer. We kick off the pre-show. Dolph with Vicky Guerrero in his corner beats Alex Riley. Say it to his face. The main show kicks off. Kofi Kingston, John Morrison, and Rey Mysterio defeat the Awesome Truth and Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez in a six-man tag match. The World Champion Mark Henry beats Sheamus by countout. Kelly with Eve Torres beats Beth Phoenix with Natalya to retain the Divas title. What the hell were they thinking? Wade Barrett beat Daniel Bryan. Randy Orton beat Christian in a no-holds-barred match for the world title. CM Punk defeated John Cena in a match we'll definitely talk about. Champion versus champion. Triple H is referee. Del Rio beats Punk after cashing in Money in the Bank. Why the hell would you have Kelly beat Beth Phoenix? First of all, that's just insane. I'd say no offense to Barbie Blank, aka Kelly, but she should have never have beaten Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, I love Kelly. I love to work in ECW as the extremist. Oh God, help us. But yeah, Beth Phoenix, a powerhouse. Beth Phoenix with a powerhouse, and you have her lose this garbage. I mean, come on. Vince McMahon must have been really horny.
Yeah. Something. So, outside of that bullshit, Randy Orton and Christian stole the show at this SummerSlam. They had one of the greatest, in my opinion, no-holds-barred matches in WWE history. And the RKO that Randy Orton gave Christian, I believe on the steps at the end of that match in the ring, was amazing. Leading to Randy picking up the world title. Of course, this was all coming off the heels of just to backtrack a little, this was just after Edge had to retire just after WrestleMania that year. Christian had beaten Alberto Del Rio in a ladder match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And during his reign, Christian became he wasn't a heel yet at SummerSlam, but we would eventually see the heel side of Christian come out in this rivalry with Randy Orton, as this was kind of a friendly rivalry at this point in time between those two. But yeah, this was definitely a great match that Christian and Randy had at SummerSlam 2011.
And now he's a patriarch.
He is. So that's all you got to say about that one. We got to give a little side story to the match that followed it as well. For anybody who lived under a rock over the last 12 years, CM Punk and John Cena were both the WWE champion going into SummerSlam because at Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk defeated John Cena and took his ball and ran, so as to speak, walked out because his contract was up. But yet, a few weeks later, John Cena would defeat Rey Mysterio in the finals of a mini tournament on Monday Night Raw to become WWE champion, only for CM Punk to come back in and reveal that he had re-signed with the WWE, finally, at that point in time, using Living Colors, Cult of Personality now in WWE for the first time at that point. Not that there was anything wrong with This Fire Burns, because that was a great song too. So we get out of this match between Punk and Cena at SummerSlam to unify the WWE Championship. This was a pretty good match these two had, but the Money in the Bank match was better, in my opinion. Probably partially because of the story that surrounded it. Go ahead.
You know what happened? You know what happened after the match when Triple H was raising a hand, and then some guy named Big Sexy Kevin Nash comes out and attacks Punk, and that's when Alberto Del Rio cashes in and becomes the World Heavyweight Champ, the WWE champion at that time. And
WWE champion.
Yeah, because it was he did it. He did it for people power.
Yes. For John Laurinaitis. Johnny Ace. I would love to just forget Johnny Ace's management in WWE back then. Would but wouldn't, because some of the zingers that CM Punk threw his way were amazing.
Hey, let's say this.
It was an interesting show, but
let's say this about Johnny Ace. He was an endemic dude.
He was a dynamic dude, yes. So, my friend, we last week did a top 5 matches from the 12 years that we discussed. I don't know that you could pick 5 matches out of these 12 years. I mean, you could, I'm sure, in the long run. But honestly, like I said when we were talking about the first one, there's only one match that really stands head and shoulders above the rest from this 12, in my opinion, SummerSlam-wise.
The Edge and Christian match.
That being, of course, the TLC match.
Yeah. Okay, here's which way I'm going to do it. I got the top 1 match, and I got the next 4 best posters for the event.
There you go. Can you pick 4? I can pick 2.
Okay. The tag team on tables on the match, hands down. The Sable one, definitely. Maria, that one was good.
Yes.
Nothing of
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan at all. Um, the one with the
No.
Rock, not the previous one, the 2000 one. That was a pretty cool one. And the DX one.
Yeah. Yes. I was gonna say the DX one's one of my favorites. I'd do that
Other
too.
than that,
I'd probably say the same. Yeah, I think I'd say the same for you.
yeah. Other than that, and wait, maybe another match. The custody of Dominic Mysterio.
I was gonna say I could pick 5 matches, but yeah. So my top 5 from that, not necessarily in order, but it'd be the TLC match, the ladder match between Ray and Eddie, or the
It's hard because it was a shitty 12 years.
it is hard. I was gonna say Cena and Orton had 2 really good matches. I'd have to rewatch the 2 to say which one I thought was better, but I think I'd probably put one of those on there. And then Triple H and Shawn Michaels, the unsanctioned match would be
Okay. I agree with that one too. But damn, 12 years of shit.
Pretty much. It gets better though.
It does.
Luckily.
It does. Mm.
Just we knew it. Honestly, I mean the first 12 weren't great either, but they gave us more memorable moments and matches in some aspects than what these 12 did for the most part.
You see, like, I agree with you on that, but there's a difference. That was the golden era, and the next going into the next generation. And then you taper off from the next generation, and then you go into the Attitude Era. Attitude Era was bam, bam, bam in your. Then you go into the semi-coma ruthless aggression, because the first part was good, and then after that it just went from excellent to a train wreck.
Pretty much, yeah. But it is what it is.
And I'm going to
say this. As we mentioned, next week we'll be back.
I'm going to say this on the show right now. Triple H now in charge. I feel like we're going back to the Attitude Era.
To an extent, I suppose, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like some things, yes, but yet don't spin on it, of course. So. New era. It shows at times. You could definitely see. Honestly, I would say during this period of time, these 12 years, you could kind of see that Vince McMahon was kind of losing touch with his crowd. I feel like.
I agree. I mean, look at what we got. Look at what we got after this. We got the greatest main event of all time in Detroit. The Battles of the Billionaires. I mean, wow, what a humdinger.
You're right. I mean, out of this, I mean, you got Del Rio's reign as WWE champion, which Didn't last all that long, thank God. And then you get CM Punk's year-plus reign as WWE champion, which was amazing. And we would also lead to the alliance of CM Punk and Paul Heyman, of course. So, but we'll talk more about that whole situation when we get into the 2012 edition of SummerSlam next week as well. CM Punk has a lot to do with the 2012 version and 2013 versions of SummerSlam.
Before we get off, maybe we should just skip the shit parts and then like go from SummerSlam 98 and then just do 99 and then skip the rest of it and go to 2012.
Well, I think it's a little late for that now.
I know. But we're doing
like I said, there were some matches in there that were worth mentioning.
We're doing it for our viewers to show them that we love them. But this really hurts us inside that we have to live through that garbage.
Right. That is for sure. For anybody who watches now or later, if you want to add in your thoughts on any SummerSlams that we've talked about or will be talking about, as Eddie mentioned in our last show, you could give your top 5 favorite SummerSlam matches or SummerSlams in general and why they are, or anything else. We'll take any comments under the videos, or if you want to message us, you see my stuff for where my Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff is at the end of the show anyways. But a little interaction would be nice. At least you guys are getting some likes and getting the views up. And that's and yes, the pyro is working today. Again. The fireworks. Yay. Go ahead, Eddie. What were you going to say?
I'm going to say this. There's an opinion, folks. I was wondering if you guys want to do it, and we want to hear from you. We are getting to that point that we can talk about an event that used to happen at the day before SummerSlam. We could maybe talk about some great NXT takeovers.
Some great. They kind of cut out. Sorry.
Maybe we could do some NXT takeovers.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. NXT takeovers were very, very good shows for the most part. So,
when did they first start doing the first NXT
something
takeover?
New, possibly in the future?
I mean, the good parts. Like, did they start in the Staples Center?
I don't think so. Hold on. You know me, I got to double check everything.
I got you. That's why you're the Tony Schiavone of the group.
All right.
Damn it, Schiavone.
Right. So the very first NXT takeover took place May 29th, 2014. And that was all in Winter Park, Florida. Was the first 5 takeovers. The first takeover that took place outside of Florida was Brooklyn. NXT takeover Brooklyn on August 22nd, 2015.
I think maybe we should do about classic takeovers.
Brooklyn. You do something like that. 36 takeovers.
Holy shit.
Speaking of NXT, they are going back out on the road. Yeah. They are going back out on the road for a couple of premium live events here soon too.
Nice.
In September and October.
Did you
NXT
see
No
our
Mercy
friend?
and NXT Halloween will be out on the road.
Did you see our friend post something about November the 11th at the Van Andel Arena?
Yeah, I did see what you're exactly talking about, but I did see that the Monday Night Raw is going to be at Van Andel on November the 11th. Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to go to, but
yeah. Who has the money for that? That's right before 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Yeah, nope.
I know. Right? I know. I wish. But anyway, that's a whole other story of that Thanksgiving wise, but we'll get into that later this year.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sports and Wrestling Connection for coming in to the chat and saying what up. Not sure exactly who those guys are because I've never seen them before, but I appreciate that they did come in and that they also subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all support. I'll give them a subscription back. But for that, I was figuring this was going to go closer to 8 o'clock, but like we said, there was just not enough context to really take us much further than what we're at here.
Well,
love the shirt, by the way. Didn't say it on air. Wyatt Sick.
You're welcome. But I also want to say thank you to you because at 8 o'clock starts the MLB All-Star game.
Cut out again.
Yeah, I know. I'll just do this every time I talk. Anyway.
Right?
Well, by the way, I just want to say thank you to you, Tony, because I have a couple of minutes to grab something to eat, and then I could watch the Major League Baseball All-Star game from Texas.
Okay, well, you do that. You enjoy it. I'm going to sit back and watch NXT and see what happens next with Joe Hendry and the Rascals and anybody else from TNA that might show up in NXT tonight.
We know you believe in Joe Hendry.
I do believe in Joe Hendry.
That's the next T-shirt you should get.
We shall see what happens.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe it. No, I told. Actually, I was telling Hope last week that I need to get me a new Rascals or MSK shirt if they come out with ones for NXT, and also a Joe Hendry shirt. So,
I have a sleep study next Friday. Wait, when is next? Next Friday is the 26th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
what's your schedule look like?
I work Saturday. How about Thursday? Are you off Thursday?
I work 10 to 6, but 6 o'clock is fine because there's nothing much going on Thursdays anyway.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, we could plan on like 7 o'clock next Thursday, perhaps.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Let's do it that because, yeah, I totally love that. Let's do that. Let's do part 3 of this of SummerSlam, baby.
All right. I'll have the page made up here shortly. People can start sharing whenever they want to if anybody wants to share it. But yes, I will post to Facebook and Twitter. Maybe not tonight. We'll see. It depends. I'm off work the next 2 days, so if not tonight, within the next couple of days, I'll probably share it to try and get more people to come in and join us and be in the comment section during the final installment of our SummerSlam retrospective next week, Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Be there, be square, if you will.
And if you're not done with that, we got 2 words for you.
suck it. But after that, we still are working on potentially a surprise for SummerSlam past that. Not giving away any details, though. You guys just got to stay tuned and find out what that surprise may be in store. So,
yes, you do.
For Eddie, the final boss, I am Tony.
Yep, and thank God I didn't say scissor me, Tony.
No scissor in here, my friend.
I know.
Or how about guns up?
Yeah. Oh, my favorite.
We'll catch
guns
you guys
up,
next week.
hopes down.
Yes, exactly. Have a good night.